Welcome, everyone. I am excited to have Anne Pocock here with me today. How are you, Anne?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm excited to dive in to your story today. I'd love for everyone to hear a little bit around your business journey, going from the corporate space into your own coaching business as well. So I'm really excited to dive into that. Just for people that are coming across you for the first time, Anne is the founder of Kinetic Effect, and you are a marketing strategy consultant and leadership coach helping scale up and SMEs. You have worked with some big corporate brands out there like Oxford University, AMP and Essentia, just to name a few. And so I'm just so excited to dive into, your transition from, working with these huge, big corporate brands to then starting your own business and starting that journey. So thanks for being here, Anne.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love for you to share a little bit around, your journey and, being in the corporate marketing space, and what kind of prompted you to want to start your own business, and perhaps share a little around the work you were doing before and what led you to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you. I have about a 20 plus year career in communications that turned into marketing. And at the end of 2019, I got a redundancy from my last corporate role, and that allowed me to take some time out from working in that format, in that way. And during last year, I went back to university. I did a heap of study. I took on some side projects and things like that. Mm-hmm. And those steps led me bit by bit to build my confidence and see a bit more about the product market fit, about how I could go out on my own. And that's when I finally listened to a lot of the advice from friends and family and my mentors to just do it.
Yeah.
And I did it quite a bit of a soft launch at the end of last year to the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until about May that I really officially told everybody that Kinetic Effect was born. And then I started, and it's just been fantastic growth and learning and very fulfilling from that time. So I'm very, very grateful that I've landed on doing something for myself that lights me up, that helps others. I still get to use all my strengths and, stays in line with my values, and being able to blend how I work and balance my time, with Anne outside of work. So yeah, it's a very succinct version of that, but having been able to have the time to experiment with what going out on my own and creating my consultancy and my coaching business meant for me allowed me to see that I didn't want to go back and work in a sort of one-dimensional role or one organization, because I like the variety of working across different clients and being able to help more people with my knowledge and my energy than restricting it to just one organization.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I hear that a lot too. And I think you're a great example of someone that has such a skill set and a variety of different things that they can actually bring into their own business. And sometimes it's hard to know which direction to go because, there's so much ground that you actually cover. And so how was that transition for you when you decided, you know what, I'm going to announce it to my friends and family, do the soft launch and see how it goes, and Kinetic Effect is born? Like, what did that feel like for you from going from that corporate environment to then saying, hey, now I'm in my own business?
Yeah. I won't lie, it was daunting, but more often than not, it was exciting and it felt just right. I really sat with the fact that there was it landed with me and it felt comfortable. But then the days where it wasn't feeling aligned or a bit off was more, it was new. And I was walking, uncharted territory because I hadn't worked in that way before. I had to do all roles in my business to get it up and running. I had to take the good with the bad, so the jobs won versus the jobs lost on my own. What I started out doing and what I do now is different, and I've changed that a couple of times already from about November, December last year when I started to now. So I've certainly iterated on my services quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's just being really flexible to what I work on and who I work with. That's been particularly important as I've gone into this.
Yeah.
And calling out on my friends, family, network for support, because it is also new. And I'm very grateful that I have people around me that have done this or are doing this too. And then joining, the coaching group with you has been exponentially just game changing, for me.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And I know that you love the variety of working with different companies and being able to add value to SMEs and scale ups as well. So I know there's the good parts of business and the bad parts, and there's a few little hurdles along the way. And so what are you finding that you're enjoying the most when you think about, what life used to be like in the corporate space versus now in your own business? How's that changed for you?
What's changed is that I choose what I work on. And I do that in line with what my strengths are, my core experience, my core offering.
Yeah.
So that I'm not spreading myself too thin, but also so that the clients benefit from having my energy because I'm in my zone. Yeah. And I'm working on things that I do well and that I derive joy and light from as well, because then they get the result of that. Previously in corporate, wasn't until recently that I realized in a couple of different roles that I was quite underutilized in many ways. Yeah. And so you really get in the zone of this is what is needed from me and my teams at that time. So you stay in that box due to expectations from other departments or leadership above you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I stepped out that I've been able to work on what I'm good at, but also what I like.
Yeah.
More often than not.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't tick those two boxes, then I don't do it, or I recommend a solution of how I can do some of it and perhaps collaborate with someone else on those other parts. Yeah. So the big difference would be that I have more choice on what I work on now, and that's beneficial to my clients. I would say that they're the main things that's really stuck out for me.
Yeah, awesome. And what are the most enjoyable things that you're doing with your clients? Like, say, for a typical client for you, like, who are you helping and how do you help them?
Yeah. So I help small to medium-sized businesses, so bigger small to big medium. That's so they usually have a marketing support person or function of some sort, and therefore can benefit from my help from the marketing strategy side. They'd usually have a sales team of sorts as well. And in that SME space, they can be of varying sizes.
Yeah.
I find that I enjoy working with businesses of that size because they're going from a real up level from being small in business to needing to mature their processes, get clear on their positioning, be more consistent with how they grow and who they sell to. Yeah. And I have a communications background, so marketing for me is always message, positioning, communications first. Yeah. And marketing becomes a way of getting that out there. It's to help them get clearer on what their position is, help the teams, customer-facing teams particularly, so they can work effectively with each other. Yeah. So I really infuse consulting, teaching, and coaching. And I have more of a do it with you model rather than a do it for you or here's some things so you can do it yourself. And then the other part of my business is executive and leadership coaching across the two areas of marketing strategy and coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when we first started talking, you came to me and you've got such a breadth of skills and experience. It's hard to, pin down exactly what you want to do sometimes as well. And I know you'd already had a really good, successful launch in your business and you were looking to take it to that next level. And so I guess, from the work that we did together, what was it that made the biggest impact or the biggest results on your business today?
Yeah. One of the bigger early impacts for me was getting clearer on how to articulate the do it with you model. Yeah. And that's where I made the decision to be quite workshop focused in what I offer people, particularly as a starting point in working together. That has been, the change has been huge in terms of being able to articulate that to potential clients, but also it's resonated, it's needed. So that's helped me build relationships with the clients and be a starting point with how we work together. That would be the big first early days impact that happened. And then, before long, I was getting a lot more confident with having sales conversations and realizing that it's not about selling at all in any way. It's really about getting curious and asking questions and seeing if there's alignment among what they value and they need to what I offer. And if there wasn't, well, then I can refer them to someone who may be able to help, or we stay in touch, but we don't necessarily work together. So that's been really helpful in that change as well. And it's made my sales conversations far more natural and organic and very human. And I guess that's ultimately helped me to be able to grow my business, because people have appreciated that and have trusted to work with me.
Yeah, awesome. And how much has your business grown in that period of time? Because I know we've only been really, at this point of filming this, we've been working together for a couple of months now. So I've been absolutely loving seeing your progress and how far you've come. So what were the results in terms of the business results for you?
Yeah, last month I've shocked myself, but I've actually quadrupled my sales in that time. So it's pretty
amazing.
It's just I'm sort of pinching myself a little bit about that, but
how does that feel?
It feels exciting, and it feels rewarding to know that I'm providing a service that is needed and wanted. Some of those people in that short amount of time have already bought more to work with me as well, and that's ideally I want to create relationships and enduring relationships with my clients. And it feels exciting. It feels like there's no way now that I'm going back to work the way that I used to. A few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I had a little look on Seek going, I'm having a tough day. Maybe I'll just go back and do it that way. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, that's so good to hear, because I think for a lot of people, when they make that transition, they always have in the back of their mind, well, if it doesn't work out, or, it's not really going to happen, then I'll just go back and do what's familiar and do my corporate job. Even if they hate it, they're just happy to go back and do it because it's familiar territory. Whereas, when you're all in business and you actually make it happen for yourself and quadruple your sales like you did, which is pretty incredible, then you start to really experience that momentum, and you start to really experience the real benefits of being in your own business and getting paid to do what you love, and actually being able to work with the people you want to work with. So that's awesome to hear. It's really
cool. Thank you.
And I know a lot of the people that you work with, like SMEs and scale ups, a lot of those decision makers are on LinkedIn. And so when we talk about, relationships and building your network, and, it's a very relationship kind of driven platform as well. So I'd be curious to know what impact and what role has that played for you when it comes to your sales and marketing strategy?
Yeah, a really important role. It isn't, so I have a number of channels, I guess, of how I find clients or how they find me.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn is one of those, both through my organic content, so the always on type stuff, but my LinkedIn outreach, so building relationships through me connecting with people, for those that may not know what that is. And then my network has been really supportive and very helpful over the last year, so that's been wonderful. And also forming partnerships with other consultancies or other sort of gig communities, that kind of thing. One of them, for example, Workling, that I'm part of, has been an enabler of that as well. Yeah, that's really, really important. So I have a variety of that, and that's been really helpful. And I would say the partnerships that I create and the LinkedIn work that I do is really providing such an impact.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. And I think, you do such a great job. For anyone listening to this, go and connect with Anne on LinkedIn as well, because, she shares some really great knowledge and tips around marketing and leadership coaching and really helping you to scale up in your business. So that's really awesome to hear. And I think it is such a powerful platform. And, people, there is that little hesitation I hear from some people around it. I face this myself when I went from my corporate job into my own business. And I was always thinking, well, what are people going to think about me? Like, are they going to judge me? Am I going to sound stupid? Am I going to, put up this post that's like super obvious and people are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about? And, in actual fact, the similar thing happened for me is that people are way more supportive on the platform than you'll ever believe. And, a lot of those fears are just sort of in our heads. Would you agree?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. At first, I was like, I can't post things, like I don't belong. Why would someone want to hear what I have to say? Like, I was riddled with that. It was one of the reasons I didn't go out on my own and start my business sooner. I had other opportunities, was I didn't feel like I was confident enough to do that. But in terms of and look, I grew through that by experimenting and exploring, similar with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did to help take the edge off is I did outsource someone helping me with some of my content, and in the early days doing some of the posting as well, because it, in a way, depersonalized it a little bit, and I knew I had a wing person to help me get it out there. And I am such a collaborator, hence the do it with you model that I have in my business.
Yeah.
So having someone do those things with me was really helpful, and it was really budget friendly as well. And so once I started getting my text-based content out, I then wanted to turn to video, and that's only been in the last, few weeks or so that I've done that.
Yeah.
And that took another level of confidence to do that, but I'm really glad that I have now, and I will continue to just vary the type of content that I share. And I'm learning all the time about what people like and don't like. And I'm less scared of what does and doesn't work. And my following is still growing. So in terms of the reach that it's getting, there's still room to grow, very much so. I feel like if I stay experimental, then that helps me with growing my confidence in doing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, it feels different when you're in your own business and, you kind of think like, okay, well, I think for anyone, everyone has insecurities. We're all human. And then when you put a business on top of that, those insecurities tend to amplify.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. I love what you said there around moving through it, because I think, you can be stuck in that zone for years, like you said, and it took you a little while to move through that to actually get things going. And then it's not so bad on the other side when you actually get
not
through
at all.
So that's
great. Exactly. And I also felt like I'm a marketer, so if I advise other people on how to do this, then it really helped me identify a lot with clients as well, to be in the trenches with them around it as well.
Yeah, awesome. And so, knowing what you know now, Anne, and having come through the last sort of few months and reaching out for some support and help, what would you say to people that are kind of thinking about whether they should just go it alone or they should go and invest in getting some help and support in launching or growing their business?
It's easy answer. Definitely invest in getting some help. It's been, the growth has been exponential. The dollars, that's a positive outcome. But in terms of the fulfillment, the energy, the encouragement, just being able to bounce around the small things and the big things with you and with the community as well has been so helpful. So I definitely recommend for people to do it, because it can be quite isolating working on your own, particularly where there is growth and potential in front of you.
Yeah.
So that means there's lots of options, lots of things you could be doing. And the trap that you get into is busy work and you just wheel spinning, and it causes overwhelm, and that can lead you to avoidance, really, because you don't know what to do and where to turn. So a really big help for me was being able to work with you to get some focus on, to simplify it, and try that for a bit before you stop that and before you move on to something else.
Yeah.
So absolutely, people need to really look for getting some help rather than just Googling it and watching videos and asking other people informally, which becomes really sporadic and messy. So yeah.
And, learning from people that haven't actually done it themselves is tricky, because, they haven't sort of been through, like you said, that emotional kind of journey that happens as well, to know, okay, well, this is likely to come up, and are you ready for it? This is what we're going to do. And, so I think that's really important. And, it's easy for us to say that as coaches ourselves, but, I'm a big proponent in always investing in coaching myself along my journey. And I don't know any of the successful people around me that I know that are doing amazing things who don't have a coach or a mentor alongside them as well. So I think
I agree.
Super important. And I'd love to hear from you, Anne, as well. Like, we've had this huge spurt in growth for you, which is awesome. And the momentum is continuing to roll. I know you've got some really amazing things happening in the pipeline. So where's this going? What is your big vision? Like, now that we've sort of gone through, you're like, all right, I'm in business, you're rocking and rolling. Like, where do you want to take this? And what's your real vision for the business?
Well, it's really interesting because the goal that I've just achieved, I didn't think I'd be doing until next year.
Yeah.
It must be right. There's something working. Yeah. Which is awesome. Very humbling as well. I need to, reassess what my goals are, stretch myself a bit further, obviously. For me, I do want to be able to increase my sales further so that I can continue my own professional development, so that I can invest in systems and tools and increasing, my presence out there, but also to bring a support system around me that I can fund now as well. So I would say to other people in business who are, moving along the journey like I am, that's what they'll find when they get to this stage, that it's what can be taken away from me. One, because it takes too much of my time or saps my energy, or someone can do it better than me. Like, there's probably the three areas that I think about. And
sorry to interrupt you as well, but like when you look at, your hourly rate, even though we don't charge by hourly rates, we charge by premium packages. But when you really assess that, there's someone that you can actually bring on now underneath you that can do it a lot faster and a lot cheaper than what you do yourself.
Yeah, very much so. So that's, what I am looking at now to help me grow and scale.
Yeah.
But also, I want to be able to work less.
Yeah.
And this is allowing me to see the type of client opportunities that I really want to do, so I can be a little bit more selective. I want to take more attention into my own well-being, outside of work, and ideally that means I'm taking the pedal off the time on the business and in the business, so that I can have a bit more of me outside of that. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I still intend on running a company of one, essentially. Like, that's my goal. I don't see myself having a consultancy with staff at this stage. So they would be my main goals is just making my support system a bit more efficient and meaningful to help me grow, and then also working less, ideally.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's do it. Yeah, awesome. And so for anyone listening to this and who might be sitting there and they're thinking, well, they've either just started their coaching consulting business, or they're thinking of starting one and they're just really not sure about, what to do next. Like, what's maybe 1 or 2 tips, knowing what you know now, that you would share that might help them along in their journey?
Yeah. Don't do it all at once. Don't feel like, and whatever all is, break it down very much and get help, and do that early. So, work with you, find a coach and a community that is, relevant to the area that they need to grow in or they need help with, and don't hesitate on that. It's such an important investment that will, provide a return very quickly.
Or 4 times a return in your case.
Yes. So I would say that's the main thing, is if you're thinking about your tasks, and I do this with my coaching clients, if you're thinking about your tasks like this, the bigger picture, break them down. It's really simple as soon as I say that, but we often can get quite overwhelmed when we don't think about it that way. So that would be my big piece of advice. And that can come from getting clear on your positioning, getting clear on your audience, getting clear on what your products are. Is break it down and do something for a little while, and then move on. If that's, you can either add to that or stop that as you move on to something that's next.
Yeah, awesome advice. I really appreciate you sharing your journey, and it's great to see. Where can people come and find you if they're wanting to learn more about working with you?
Yeah, great. They can come and visit me on LinkedIn, me at kineticeffect.co as well. So either place, I'll be there.
Awesome. I'm glad you said LinkedIn first. That would appreciate it, and thank you so much for being here with me today. And I'm looking forward to continuing working with you. And let's aim even higher in your business. Quadruple. What's after quadruple? What do we need to do next? We'll just keep it moving. We'll keep it rolling.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being such a wonderful support.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.